Hare Krishna. Thanks a lot for joining. Let me just share my screen. I hope it's visible. Let's chant our normal prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Sri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि श्री गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Thank you for joining today, and we are going to look at very interesting part of this session. We are almost reaching to the middle of Bhagavad Gita, and as we know, the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, they are Karma Yoga. The next 6 chapter is Bhakti Yoga, and the last 6 chapter is Jnana Yoga. So Bhakti Yoga is considered very confidential and secret knowledge in Bhagavad Gita, kind of sandwiched between Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. And within Bhakti Yoga, this chapter 9 and 10, they are the central ones. So for this particular chapter, what we are going to look at is a very interesting theme, that who can understand this knowledge and what is the importance of this knowledge and what happens if we can apply this knowledge in our daily life. So this chapter is entitled as Raja Vidya, Raja Goya. Goya means very confidential and Raja Vidya means supreme. So this chapter is called as most confidential knowledge. Why most confidential? Because it discusses a lot of mystical powers of God. And why I particularly like this particular chapter is, after knowing what are the extent of God, his powers, we will never ever be attracted to somebody else, even if he displays some kind of mystic siddhis, that floating in air or taking out some ash or whatever. There are so many other normal people who, after progressing to certain extent in mystical yoga, they all acquire this power. But one who has a knowledge of who is God and what is his position, what he wants, what his behavior towards his devotees, after having all this knowledge, one will be having very clear understanding of exactly who is God and how to distinguish the other impostors from the God. So this chapter is very important for one's own knowledge sake, as well as from application perspective, knowing the glories of our own Supreme Lord. So what is the most important qualification to realize this knowledge? So this verse itself, in the first verse, Krishna says to Arjuna, my dear Arjuna, because you are never envious. Never envious means at no point of time Arjuna thought that why Krishna is having this power, why Krishna only knows everything, and why everybody is getting conquered by Krishna. So Arjuna never had that enviousness towards Krishna, or nor he wanted to become God himself. He was highly appreciative and always in servitude. So that non-enviousness is one of the very important quality to understand this knowledge. If somebody is approaching this knowledge with challenging spirit and trying to find out, like generally it happens in the lawyer profession, for example, when people are hearing, they are just hearing to find out some loopholes and what could be the counter arguments. But in this particular knowledge, we need to have a completely opposite and submissive attitude to understand this knowledge. With that faith only, it will be more. It will get corroborated in our heart for rest of the eternity. So it's very important that we should have a non-envious attitude towards approaching this most confidential knowledge. Now, Krishna glorifies this knowledge, this ninth chapter in second verse, as it's a king of education. The most secret of all secrets means that it's, although anybody can read this, it's available Veda base online, anybody can go through this chapter. But to understand the essence of this chapter, one need to have a very different mindset. So many people may buy Bhagavad Gita, many people may gift Bhagavad Gita to each other, but even if you go through this Bhagavad Gita on your own, without having that attitude of I want to know more, I want to with the right attitude of I want to serve the God, I want to develop the qualities which will please the God. Without that attitude, this knowledge, it actually remains hidden. It's the purest of knowledge, and it gives very important thing, direct perception of the self by realization. So by reading this knowledge, particularly this chapter, it gives a very clear understanding of who we are exactly, and that's the perfection of this religion. It's everlasting. And now the most important part of this verse, it's a joyfully performed. This is not a miserable knowledge where you, for practicing it, we have to go in jungle, and then as we discussed in this Ashtanga yoga process, you have to sit very for thousands of years and then focus mind and on some point. Not like that. This knowledge is joyfully performed. Anybody and everybody can approach this knowledge and practice in daily life in very joyful manner. In fact, the tenets of this process, who are like, we need to offer nice food to the Lord, then we can have it. We can chant nice mantras, we can discuss this nice philosophy, we can have nice musical kirtans, we can dance in the kirtan. There are so many other nice joyful activities. They are all part of application of this particular knowledge. So this knowledge starts from this point of time where Krishna starts explaining he is a maintainer of all living entities. And although he is everywhere, he is not part of this cosmic manifestation. So with this, we need to have some idea of this Vedic cosmos, where we discussed some of the diagrams where how Krishna is there in the spiritual world, then there is a Brahman, then there are this Mahavishnu from whose body multiple universes are coming. We are in one of those universes. So Krishna actually, after understanding these various features, it becomes easy for us to understand how Krishna is actually separate from this entire material creation. He is in his own spiritual world. At the same time, how out of his love for all the living entities, how he has created small things. So even if you look at the design of our eye, the way fragrance mechanism is there in the flowers, even the distance between earth and sun, if it is little close, it will be super hot. If it's little away, everything will get frozen. So very small things of design in this particular universe, Krishna has taken care so nicely, perfectly. And not just that he created and left it. He is there with living entities in all their ups and downs, trying to guide them perpetually to come to the right path. So Krishna is saying he has created this entire universe in a detached manner, that he is not very much attached. At the same time, he is facilitating everybody to come out of this material world. So what Karma Yoga Krishna is talking in first six chapter, he himself had been practicing while creation of this universe itself. Now, when Krishna actually, as we discussed, there are these various forms of Krishna who are all pervading and maintaining and all. But then when Krishna comes in his human form, the way he has come in 5,000 years back, there are some category of people, so many of them like Duryodhana, Dushasana, Karna, or many others, who roamed around Krishna, who saw Krishna, but they could not understand he is a supreme God, because it's very difficult. I mean, it's very easy to understand. Okay, God is all pervading. He's in Brahman impersonal form. He's there in every living entity. That kind of relation someone is capable to get, then it can be considered, oh, it's literally impossible for us, and that must be God. But when we see Krishna in person, in human form, so Krishna has various form, he has been tortoise incarnation, he has been fish incarnation, many other incarnations. But when he comes in human form, like Lord Ram or Lord Krishna, when he descends in this particular form, it's very difficult for people who do not have any faith that God exists. For them, they just cannot accept that this personality is actually Supreme Lord. So Krishna says this particular fools deride me when I descend in a human form. And then what happens to them? They actually develop kind of demoniac or some kind of atheistic mindset. Demoniac means they just want to deny existence of God, go into exploiting everybody and every resources in this world for their own personal sense gratification. That is the first part. Second thing, atheistic. That means they just deny the existence of God completely, and then come up with a nice philosophy how this whole world is came by chance, and then there is no purpose, there is no goal of our life, and you can do whatever you want. So people who come with this kind of mindset, they are to be understood complete lack of any kind of faith on the Supreme Lord. So in this, like when Krishna was there in a human form, people had an opportunity to approach him, to pray to him directly, have a conversation with him. But in this particular age, this Archavigraha form or the deity form of the Lord, it's very important. And if we can treat them as a human, as a living entity, the Lord also through Archavigraha form, it actually reciprocates. There are so many stories from Jagannath Puri, from Mayapur, from Vrindavan. There are so many stories of so many great devotees with whom Lord has actually reciprocated. And this time dilation is little it's little time consuming, so if time permits we'll discuss that at the end of this session. But Krishna says that people who are not deluded, that means they have developed certain faith from their past life or even in this life, such great souls, they immediately shift under the protection of divine nature. So Krishna protects their faith, and Krishna says that whatever faith they have already have developed, Krishna protects that, and he will provide an opportunity to develop that faith. So what happens after developing this faith? Always chanting my glories. So it's like a magnet. One gets automatically attracted to understand more glories about the Lord, because more we understand about Lord, all our negative tendencies, the attractions for these hopeless things in this world, they automatically go away. So always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination. More one realizes this knowledge from within, his determination is deep rooted. And then he follows this process of bowing down before him and then worshipping him with devotion. Then Krishna goes on to explain particularly about this expanse of his incarnation. So let's look at the 9.18. He says, I am the goal. The very first that I am the goal means we want to have a direct conversation with the Lord. We want to have to serve the Lord. So that to achieving the Lord, to go back to his abode and serve him there, that's the goal of life. I am the goal, I am the sustainer, master, witness, abode, refuge. All these different things are actually kind of protecting the master. He is witnessing all our activities so that he can guide us properly. He is a sustainer, he is maintainer, and he is the abode. He is in fact refuge. Whenever we are in deep distress situation, if we can somehow or other turn to the reservoir of all these source, reservoir of all these divine qualities, he is a great refuge. And of course, he is a great dear friend, most dear friend. I am the creation, annihilation, and basis of everything. So, as we discussed in Vedic Cosmos session, how the universe is created at the start of Brahma's day, and then how it gets annihilated at the middle of Brahma day. All this creation and annihilation, all these processes are happening under the guidance of the Lord. He is a resting place and eternal seed. So these three features, they're important to understand. The Brahman feature is actually between the material world and spiritual world. He's expanded everywhere. And that is a goal of impersonalist, Mayavadis, Brahmavadis, who would like to go and merge into Brahman. And it's not that they dissolve their identity, but they just want to go and sit there in the Brahman so that there is no material negative influence in their existence. That is what they can do by achieving the Brahman realization. Now, the next level is Paramatma realization. So these people are they do not want to just have like no more negative influences of this material world. They want to have something positivity, and they want to have established some connection with the Lord. And this Paramatma feature, which is actually localized feature in heart of every living entity, and it is there with us life after life. So after death, what soul carries with him is the subtle body, which is consisting of mind, intelligence, ego, and of course the same Paramatma which he has been carrying from one body to another. So this whole set gets carried one life after another. And realizing that this Paramatma feature of the Lord in heart, that's also a great realization. The most highest one is the Bhagavan feature, where one understands that Lord is actually a personal spiritual entity. He reciprocates whatever way I can serve him. And that way, this realization of Lord, his qualities, his pastimes, his relationship with his devotees, this is a topmost realization, and that is desired by all the pure devotees. So this Brahman Paramatma feature, Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan feature, they are all belongs to the same Supreme Lord Krishna. So he is the same Supreme Lord who is expanded everywhere in Brahman. He is expanded as a Paramatma. He is there in every atom. And at the same time, he is the same Supreme Lord who can reciprocate in the deity form or even in the thought of mind. Means Lord can be actually manifest even in somebody's mind also, if somebody is contemplating and rendering improper prayers. So after knowing all the features of Lord, when we apply this terminology of Anantakoti Brahmanda Nayak, it is not for any normal human being. This Anantakoti means there are so many millions of universes, billions of universes. This is called as Brahmandas, and their Nayak, the master of all these universes, is actually that one supreme Lord. So one who knows this law, this knowledge, one who practices to certain extent these principles in their life, at least one thing is there, their faith in life will not be stolen away by some cheap living entities. Now, um, while Lord explaining this, one of the important part which comes as a part of this Vedic cosmos explanation is everybody is pleasure seeking. Now the thing is, Lord also understands it that we are pleasure seeking, and Lord also understands the actual fulfillment of soul. It is possible only when it returns back to the spiritual world. If he is not in the spiritual world, then whatever pleasures we are trying to acquire in this particular material world, none of them are going to satisfy us, because by nature we are spirit, we are Satchidananda, and whatever is available in this world is temporary and miserable. So even if somebody goes to heavenly planet, whenever it's like somebody is having some bank balance, and as soon one may enjoy, go to some place, he may enjoy there as long as that bank balance is there. But when the balance is finished, he has to return to his original place. So whenever for these living entities, when they go to heavenly planets and when the results of pious activities are exhausted, they return to this material world. If they commit some kind of heinous activities, they may go to hellish planets. Whenever the results of their impious activities, that is the punishments, that also getting exhausted, again they return back to this earthly mortal planets. So it's not that God is condemning somebody eternality to heaven or eternality to hell, not like that. Depending on the level of good or bad karma one is performing, he may enjoy in heavens or he may suffer in hell. But while all this journey of back and forth to various planets, various species, Lord is just patient in his heart, waiting that when this soul will develop a desire to come back to me. So that's the supreme patience of the Lord. But without looking at the actual Gita knowledge, if somebody just going by the principles which are given in Vedas, or the principles which are helping us elevate in this particular life or next life, they just achieved only repeated birth and death. Krishna also, in one sense, condemns demigod worship, because he says that all these results, he says in previous chapters also, that one may get while worshipping through these demigods, is actually granted by Krishna only. And then there is another category who understands the Krishna's position, and then when they starts worshipping Krishna with exclusive devotion, that I do not want any more material desires or any fulfillments or any so-called um, name and fame in my life, but what I want is purification of my heart. I really want to develop really divine qualities. I want to focus on the holy names, and I want to become more and more pure so that I can serve the Lord with much purer heart. So such entities who are meditating on Krishna's transcendental form, Krishna says that, as we discussed, whatever faith or whatever pious activities they have developed, the spiritual credits they have developed, Krishna preserves whatever they have already and provides whatever is required for them to develop it more. It's very famous shloka, Yogakshemam Vahamyam. It's not for the any insurance company, but it's for the spiritual credits life after life. Now, so one may ask that if I'm putting similar exact efforts in worshipping so many demigods, and even lesser effort if I'm putting to please the Krishna or practice this spirituality, why am I getting completely different results? Because it's not that if I want to go to certain direction, if I want to go to Norway, for example, towards north, if I take a flight going towards New Zealand, definitely I'm not going to land to Norway. So this thing that you can worship anybody, you can worship some stone, you can worship some this Baba, that Baba. Ultimately, everything is going to Krishna. or that Supreme Lord. No, Krishna actually dismantles this particular misconception thoroughly. So Krishna says that I'm the only enjoyer, master of all sacrifices. He is the ultimate Adi Yajna. Adi Yajna means any kind of sacrifices, any kind of duties we are performing, and that sacrifice means we are sacrificing our lower tendencies for developing the higher qualities. That's what the sacrifice we are talking. So who is the master of these sacrifices? Because all these sacrifice means we are doing something, we are sacrificing our lower tendencies for something higher. It ultimately it elevates us to become uh, more and more pure and getting attracted towards the Lord. So he is the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. And who do not recognize this understanding, they actually fall down. So Krishna says that in 9.25, those who worship demigods, they will take birth among demigods. Now, this is what we are talking about, destinations. Now, people who worship demigods, and they read about them and they study about them and they develop so much of liking, do a lot of worship for them with lot of all the rituals and hope that they can serve these demigods or spend time with them, getting impressed by activities of these demigods. These living such kind of living entities, after leaving their current body, they may end up on the planet of demigods. Those who are very much attached to their ancestor, my grandfather, great grandfather, and I'm very much attached to them, I may land up on whichever planet these ancestors are living. There are people who do a lot of black magic for whatever their personal purposes. They take help of these ghosts and spirits for solving the problems of their lives or settling score with somebody else. In their core of mind, they develop that this ghost or these spirits or this kind of living entities, they are having great powers, and he develops attraction towards them. Such a person, after living their life, they actually end up on the same species like these ghosts and spirits. And people who are actually practicing, taking up this spiritual life for developing right principles in their life, helping others also to develop right qualities, who only with the purpose of um, exclusive purpose that I want to understand Krishna, how he is dealing with his devotees, read about him, contemplate, meditate upon him, serve to his devotees, serve to great Vaishnavas. Those who are on this path, gradually they will end up landing living with Krishna. So not all the roads leads to the same destination. It depending on where we put our efforts, where we put our heart, we will end up to go to that particular destination. So this knowledge of scriptures, what we are practicing, what we are reading, what we are contemplating, and application of its principle, they decides the destiny in this life as well as in the next. And to Krishna actually dwells more very interesting part of this life, that what Krishna is actually expecting from us. So Krishna is not expecting very great that you have to give up your entire life. You just have to be remain very celibate for a number of lives. You have to give up all your wealth and all your duty and this and that. He's not expecting such a great sacrifices. What Krishna is expecting, if one offers me with love and devotion, that's what is most important part. Anything which you do for Krishna has to be done with the love and devotion. That feeling, that mood of loving attitude towards Krishna is the most important. And with that loving attitude, even if you offer Krishna leaf, flower, fruit, water, these simple things, this is not something which we are torturing other living entities. And this is very easy for anybody to offer it to Krishna. Then Krishna accepts what? Not just leaf and flower. Krishna accepts that love. Any small token with which we can reciprocate with others, other person actually accepts the mood behind it. And Krishna is emphasizing the same thing. He is looking forward to that love and devotion. Again, he's emphasizing whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, whatever austerities you perform. Austerity means something which is elevating our consciousness. Whatever we are doing, this kind of great activities, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. So we just have to remember Krishna that while doing these activities, while maintaining this my body or while performing this austerity, O Lord, let it help me to purify my consciousness. Let it help me to elevate my consciousness. Krishna will definitely help there. And then is Krishna partial towards his devotee? Because Krishna is, now we discussed in last slides about these various directions and why Krishna is giving such a great results only to his devotees. So Krishna is saying he's equal to all, because for Krishna, every single living entity, be the human body, animal body, tree body, every living entity is actually dear to the Lord. So he is not partial to anybody. But whoever renders service to Krishna in love and devotion is automatically friend towards him. So Krishna is technically partial towards his devotees, but his partiality is open to all. Anybody who turns to this spiritual process of Krishna consciousness, automatically he has a right to attract Krishna's attention, and he over a period of time develops a right to serve Krishna. So as we discussed, Krishna accepts the mood of all these offerings, and he is not just not partial or impartial. He is actually reciprocal. Whoever comes to Krishna, Krishna actually guides him. He helps him to elevate, and the results are much more multifold than worshipping anybody else. Now, this is very important part that around the end of this chapter, Krishna says this very interesting principle. Even if somebody commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly. Now, there are many people who may take up this process of Krishna consciousness with the right attitude, but later on, after facing certain challenges, some temptations, there are many situations where person may park aside their devotional service, or person may even commit some activities which are forced by the modes of material nature, and later on they regret in their life. What happens to such people? So Krishna is actually saying that these people, after even once tasted the glories of this devotional service, he actually regrets, and he's again determined to practice devotional service. It's not that if I even if I'm practicing something, even if I'm preaching somebody something, and because of whatever reason, if I do something wrong, then I'm permanently ineligible to practice devotional service. Not like that. As long as I'm repenting, and I remember that, oh, this is this temptation or this particular thing, I definitely want to, this anartha in my heart, I want to overcome, and I want to become better version of myself. With that determination, if I again pick up this devotional service, then Krishna says such a person quickly become righteous, and he again comes back to the platform of devotional service, where he not only can just sustain, but he can excel. But with this, whatever experiences he had, he is more careful about not to commit such activities, and he progresses in his spiritual life. So Krishna says to Arjuna that declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. So this is a very great statement Krishna has given. The great faith which Krishna is giving, that anybody is picking up this devotional service, he will never be able to loser. He will never be loser in his life. And one of the great example what we can see in pages of Bhagavatam is this story of Ajamil, where this Ajamil actually in his youth, in his very young age, he studied a lot of scriptures. He had a lot of great qualities in his dealings. But somehow or other, later on, he got attracted to prostitute. He even killed his just to maintain his impious life. Later on, he committed so many sinful activities, murders, and then looting, and this and that. And so much so, he was engrossed in sense gratification, that at the age of 80 also, he had a child who was just 2 years old. So, of course, what you can see in this picture, the right side Yamadutas, they came to take him thinking that he is a very impious soul. But somehow, actually, Ajamila called his son's name Narayan. And then, just because of that one utterance, as you can see here, all these Vishnudutas, they came and they told this Yamadutas that this soul, some point of time, he has picked up devotional service sincerely. Although for some duration of his life, he has not practiced, he has completely impiously, he has practiced it. But just because once he has picked up devotional service nicely, and particularly he has called the name of Lord Narayan at the time of his death, you cannot take him to the hellish planet. So after having these interactions, and Ajamela witnessed this conversation between Yamaduta and Vishnuduta, he realizes his great fortune. And then both Yamadutas and Vishnudutas left. Ajamila then again goes to Haridwar. He is given a granted additional life where he goes to Haridwar. He practices very deep, touching and very reciprocal devotional service with the Supreme Lord. And when the time comes again for him to leave his body, this time Vishnu Dutas come with proper Vaikuntha airlines. So they take Ajamila back into the Vaikuntha aeroplane, back to the spiritual world. So this is a very nice story in pages of Bhagavatam, which actually emphasizes the same principle what Krishna is saying here, that if somebody has picked up his devotional service and for whatever reason he is not able to sustain, if he has a sincerity of purpose that I want to pick up, I want to come back and practice devotional life, then he will definitely be helped by the Supreme Lord. And coming to the last slide of this particular presentation, Krishna says this particular verse 9.34, this is the only verse in entire Bhagavad Gita which gets repeated. Manmana bhava mad bhakto. So translation is, engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me, worship me. So if you think over it, first of all, what Krishna is asking is engage your mind in thinking of me. So whatever mind, subtle things we have got, if we can think about it, contemplate on his glories, to become a great devotee of Supreme Lord, offer obeisances to me. Now, offering obeisances is not just a bodily obeisances. This is actually offering our own ego, that, oh Krishna, I'm your servant, you are my master. So if somebody can offer his ego and worship me, how we worship Supreme Lord? Of course, by bodily doing cooking, then offering a lot of worshipable items. But the higher level of worship, as Krishna says in the end of Bhagavad Gita, is we can worship Krishna by our intelligence. By studying these particular scriptures, this is actually worshipping Krishna with our intelligence. So engaging our mind in thinking, offering our ego in obeisances, and engaging our intelligence in studying the scriptures, that is intellectual worship. So Krishna is recommending, if you can offer your mind, ego, intelligence, this subtle body, then our entire existence gets completely absorbed in Krishna, and then Krishna guarantees definitely you will come to me. So Lord is very, very personal. He's very reciprocal. He's just waiting for soul to turn once towards him. And anybody is saying, oh Lord, I'm yours. Please guide me. Please help me to overcome this situation and let me develop the nice qualities with which I can come and I can serve you. Then Lord is all the more eager to take us back to the spiritual world. He's there to help us at every stage. But definitely Lord wants us to purify our own existence. That is the purpose why we are here. So he wants all of us to purify our existence, purify our desires, achieve the love of God. We should have that genuine desire and we should be hankering to reunite back with the God. That is a qualification for anyone to go back. And to achieve that qualification, one has to associate with like-minded, sincere devotees. I cannot associate with my friends who are drinking and then smoking and then doing all the different activities and develop this desire. Not possible. I have to associate with people who are also having this um, who are also putting this great endeavor to come back to Krishna. I have to serve these great Vaishnavas and apply this principle. Whatever I hear from them, whatever I observe in their behavior, whatever I learn from these scriptures, I have to apply these principles in my daily life. That will help me to rekindle that dormant desire. The desire is there in each of, it's not that something I have to put from artificially from outside. It's already there in everybody's hearts. And then with this process of devotional service, I can bring out that dormant desire within me, which will help all of us. Whoever puts efforts in this direction, it will help them to come back and serve Krishna. So thank you so much for your attention. I understand this being the part of the challenging part of the year where we are coming to the end of 2025. And rather than you can actually enjoy so many other things, but you joined for today's session. I'm grateful to that. We still have 5 more minutes to go. Any of you have any specific questions? Please feel free to ask. Or I can give the quick summary of today's chapter again. So this chapter starts with Krishna explaining why this knowledge is most confidential. Why it is most confidential is because one who is not envious and one who is looking forward to serve Krishna. So one who is having a right attitude of the mind he only can understand the tenets of this particular chapter. People who are very envious, people who do not believe only that existence of God, for them it's very impossible to understand this chapter even if they read this again and again. So Krishna glorifies this chapter, saying that this is the king of education. It's very secret, and whoever understand them, why? Because it is going to rekindle that desire of their within their heart to return back to spiritual world. It will help them to get the direct perception. Now the Krishna explains that how he is actually there in this Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, these features. Then how he is maintaining, creating this world, how is designed, what is the purpose. But even after understanding all this, the foolish people, they still think that Krishna in his human form, when he comes in human form, they cannot understand that he is a God. And but for people who understand, who appreciate his human form, who can actually worship his Archa Vigraha, who has that great fortune to worship the deities of Krishna and Radha, such people are not deluded because their faith is protected by the Lord. They look forward to chant, they look forward to hear Krishna's glories with great determination and continue progressing in spiritual life. So, this knowledge is very important so that we can understand who is actually God and who is not. And then on that basis, we can develop more and more faith by going through this scripture. And Krishna also explains that how is the basis of all this Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan feature. These are the same features of the same Supreme Lord. Now, we also understand that souls, while going through up and down through these universes, whatever, I mean, Paramatma is very patiently waiting in their heart, and he is just waiting when these living entities will turn towards me. So anybody who develops a desire, Krishna protects their faith and he preserves that faith and he carries whatever they lack. And here we also learn that not every road leads to the same destination. The devotional path, one who takes up, is actually the royal path because then there are no attraction. It's like a highway, royal highway where one can progress in his spiritual life without any obstacles. But if somebody goes for worshipping ghosts and spirits and other demigods or other ancestors, then such a person may end up living or wasting more of their lifetimes on such planets. Then what Krishna is expecting from us is actually anything which is easily available. Of course, from our side, we should try to give our energy, our time, our consciousness, attention, focus. These are most important thing, and then they can be translated to our even some kind of donation, some kind of cooking, distributing to others. So what Krishna is actually looking is loving and serving attitude, devotional attitude. That's what matters for Krishna. And Krishna is not partial or impartial. He is open to everyone, whoever turns towards him. Krishna is happy to reciprocate with him. And Krishna also emphasizes again that whoever picks up this devotional service, even by for whatever reason, even if they deviate because of some temptations or because of their own bad tendencies, because they have practiced devotional service some point of time in their life, they will realize what is going wrong. They will course correct because Paramatma in their heart will be more active to guide them from within. Quickly they will become righteous and again they'll pick up this process of devotional service. So this sincerity of purpose in devotional service matters the most. And then Krishna requests to engage our mind, our ego, our intelligence in the service of Krishna. And if somebody is able to practically apply these principles, Krishna is more than happy and eager to guide them. He even guides them to get in touch with right people, right association, so that we develop deep faith in this process and return back to Him. So thank you so much. We have now last 1 minute, and I look forward. Very happy New Year to all of you. In the next year, next week, there may not be a class because I'm traveling to this Golokadham in Frankfurt. But following week, after 2 weeks, we'll start with the 10th chapter. So thank you so much for your attention and see you for the next session. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. I'll end the session. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. See you next year. Haribol.